what philosophers who claim that cinema can think, what they mean is, I think, something much more radical. Films can think. This does not mean that they illustrate philosophical theses or whatever. No, they think immanently, which means, for me, I'm here an old Marxist formalist, in their very form. You have a certain narrative, scene, or whatever. Immanent analysis begins when you demonstrate not only how form matters, in the sense that there is an inner necessity for that story to be told in that precise way. And I'm talking here not only about general narrative structure, but about camera movement, soundtrack, and so on. But even a step further, and here for me thinking begins a real one. I was always fascinated by movies where there is a subtle tension between narrative content and the form, the way the form is told, where form does not simply illustrate the narrative content, but counteracts it, even subverts it in a way. I'm sorry now if, but I hope not most of you, some of you know the examples that I will mention now, but that's the reason why I am a great admirer of, not all of them, but some of Robert Altman's movies like Shortcuts. I think that as to its content, and most critics remained at that level, if you saw, it's one of the great American classics. Shortcuts, I think. It's, you know, all this intersection of 7, 8 storylines. It's, as we say in the usual superficial Marxist critique terms, it's the despair of the middle class everyday life in LA area, this suburban silent despair of daily life. So where is the counterpoint? Because, and that's the beauty of it, the way I read the movie. It's not at the level of content that some character nonetheless shows the path to what brighter future or whatever. It's the form itself which is very Spinozian. This 8 or 9 narrative lives intersecting, this universe of contingent encounters where, okay, they can be tragic, but they can also bring new hope. You know, this pluralistic, open universe of, it's really a kind of Spinozian or even Deleuzian ontology, and at this level I like it. It's not a work controlled by God. It's open, multiple reality with contingent encounters which can be tragic but also can bring luck. And this universe in itself, the narrative structure of the movie, is the optimist counterpoint, I claim. You know, so again, it's not that you discover that beneath that terrible despair of everyday life, there is hope, what, of a socialist revolution in LA, I don't know what. The forum itself brings a different message. Now, so that you will not say that I dream, I will give you another example. I hope you already know it, because, you know, I don't have any problem with enjoying a big blockbuster. I'm not a fetishist of those boring art movies, which, when they are over, you are glad that they are over, and then you celebrate it just as a kind of a superstitious measure. I will talk about it so that I don't have to see it again or whatever. But there are art movies which are really good, and I really enjoy them. One of them, if you allow me this detour, since we are where we are, is, and I'm not giving you some multicultural bullshit, Native Americans, Inuits, what a great nation. No, it's simply fucking a good movie. Did you see the Fast Runner, yours? Yeah. I simply enjoyed it. And I hope I can repeat a story, why I like it. I hope you don't yet know it. It was a big lesson against superficial leftist critique. I thought some people who were friends with the producer sent me literally a box, all the materials about the movie. And there I read something wonderful. The director of the movie, who now unfortunately died, I think, you know the story, so we'll not go into it, but some idiot, I mean white, liberal, politically correct, pseudo-leftist critique, reproached the movie for succumbing to Hollywood commercialization. Because, you know, the movie stages an old Inuit legend, and the movie changes the ending. So I read, the original Inuit legend ends tragically. They all more or less kill each other. In the movie, it's just that the two bad guys are not even killed. They are just excommunicated and so on. It's a much softer, open ending. So the reproach was, but you are not faithful to the original, you succumb to Hollywood commercialism and so on. Oh my God. The guy, the Inuit director, gave a perfect answer. He said, no, you are a white racist here, he says, because you don't see that. Retelling the story always in a different way to fit the present circumstances, that's our Inuit tradition. Your notion of being faithful to the original, this is your white people ideology. You don't get it how our original native logic works. It's very opportunistic. Because we are the original traditional people, we don't relate to our culture, we don't fetishize it into this original tradition and so on. You know, we manipulate it to tell the story always in a new way and so on and so on. She gave a wonderful lesson, which is don't fetishize the traditional culture on account of our fidelity, they're authentic and so on and so on. So maybe I should slowly approach the ending of this part just to give some other examples of what I mean. Lars von Trier, okay, he's a little bit crazy, but some of his movies, not all, I like. Melancholia, I love it. Because I'm a pessimist. I think it's a very happy movie. Humanity disappears, what more do you want? We are a stain on the... But, you know, I read an interview with him where he explains breaking the waves in a wonderful way. Because you know what's the paradox of the movie, if you've seen it? The narrative is ultra-romantic. Passionate love, all that, and so on. But the forum is totally in discord with it. First, it's not what you expect with romantic movie, this, you know, art, smooth movement, gliding, smooth camera, or whatever. No, it's done almost as a documentary. Handheld camera, rough cuts, which are not even well coordinated, and so on. And he says something very interesting. He says that without this tension between narrative and the forum, the narrative would be unbearable kitsch. That the function only to be shot in such a way which counteracts the narrative, only in this way can you do such a narrative. Or the opposite example that I like, in many melodramas, even classic Hollywood melodramas, you have a certain narrative, which is stupidly, excessively romantic. If you were to stage it directly, it would have been ridiculous. So you downplay it at the level of how it is acted, but the excess is then re-enters in music. You know, what you couldn't show, you enact it in music. And I found this a very interesting point, where it's not simply that, you got the point, that music illustrates the action. No, music brings out what was too strong for the action, what was not allowed to be enacted directly. You know who did this in a wonderful way? I love the movie. The great Chaplin classic, my best Chaplin, I think, City Lights. You remember at the end, this triumphant exchange of gazes, then you have the end, but the music goes on for some 10 seconds. It's as if You have an excess there. So it's very naive, I know, primitive, what I'm telling you now, and we can go on more in details, but you see my point. Here, film is thinking, I think, where the form of a film has its own dynamic, which does not simply faithfully illustrates the narrative content, but tells more, tells even what is excluded, censored in the content, and so on. This tension between form and content is where cinematic thinking is located.